Hey there, my name is Alexis, and this is my electric panel that's right outside my door whenever I enter my apartment. And I'm not really a fan of it being right outside my front door, particularly because whoever installed it did not install it correctly, as you can see. There's a bit of a gap there, maybe a quarter inch to a half inch. So ever since I moved in, I've made something that basically covers it up. I initially made a key holder slash mail holder using pine, but I never really used that mail holder itself, so I remade it using half-inch plywood where it has a little built-in shelf and I put a little clock on top. But now that I've been using red oak a lot more in my recent projects these past few months, I decided to remake it again using red oak, giving it a nice, more professional look, making a mitered frame around it. I also extended out the shelf so it has a little bit more surface space to rest things on. And because of the gap on the panel, there's no screwing required, it just rests on top. In terms of material, the body and shelf of the unit is made of 1x12 oak board, and the outside framing is made out of a combination of 1x2s and 1x3s. And everything is held together by wood glue and pocket screws. While I like using pocket screws, I always have an issue with properly joining them in terms of having the two pieces flush with each other. I don't know if I'm just not clamping them well, but usually one of the end pieces that I'm joining gets lifted and just creates an uneven surface, and then it requires a ton of sanding. So what I tried with this piece is I glued all the pieces together, clamped everything together, and then let the wood harden a little. I waited a couple hours before actually screwing them in so that there's very small chance of the wood lifting because the glue is holding it down vertically, if that makes sense. And since it was the winter time when I was doing this work, I let the glue harden inside my boiler room so the glue can harden properly and dry faster.
2 hours later.
And after a couple of hours, I installed the pocket screws and it worked perfectly. There was no wood movement. I did still have a clamp there just for extra security, just in case the wood didn't harden fully, but it worked great. Next, I cleaned up the seams with some hand sanding with 220 grit sandpaper. I added a couple more pocket holes where I forgot to add some earlier, and then I started working on the outside frame for the unit. And I'm going to use my miter saw to make 45-degree cuts so I can have a nice mitered frame. I cut the pieces a bit oversized since I'm not that perfect with miter cuts yet, so I made them oversized and I cut them bit by bit until they fit perfectly. Next, I installed the outside frame piece to the body using blue painter's tape to help temporarily hold the piece while I properly clamp each side while making sure everything is installed flush with each other. While the glue dried, I started working on the side pieces for the shelf part of the unit. Then I gave it a little bit of light hand sanding before it gets installed because it's easier to sand it now versus once it's all put together. Then I clamped the shelf pieces together, then carefully installed it to the main body of the unit. With everything put together, all that remained was installing pocket screws from the body into the shelf and from the body into the top frame piece, as that's going to be holding a good amount of the weight. After doing a test fit, I realized the outside frame pieces weren't as deep as they needed to be, so I added some oak strips from a previous project, then I secured everything with wood glue and some finish nails. I then applied a coat of Minwax Golden Oak stain to the cover, since I've been using that stain for all my other red oak projects. Then I finished everything up with a few coats of Minwax polyurethane with some very light hand sanding in between each coat. To properly secure the cover onto the electric panel, I'm installing these figure-8 washers into the top frame piece. So when everything is put over the electric panel, it won't fall out because it's being held from the back with figure-8 washers. Once the poly had fully cured, I installed the figure-8 washers, then drilled holes for the key holder hardware, which were basically brass handles for cabinet doors. And I chose brass because I'm gonna put a decorative mirror on this, and it has some brass-like color to the frame of the mirror. So to remove the cover is really simple. You just lift and pull, and this piece is very secure. The sides will prevent it from shifting side to side, and then the figure-8 washers will prevent it from falling outward. And to avoid drilling any holes into the cover. I'm going to use adhesive strips to hold the decorative mirror, and you just need to hold it for about a minute before it adheres fully. And that's about it. So thanks for watching. Hope you liked the video. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have any ways I could have improved on this, let me know as well. And thanks again, and take care.